A young man walks into a bar and never walks out. Brian Shaffer's disappearance is not just a mystery, it's a riddle wrapped in an enigma. How did he vanish from a crowded bar without a trace? This is a story that defies explanation and continues to haunt all who hear it. Columbus, Ohio, March 31st, 2006. The night was just beginning for Brian Shaffer, a second-year medical student with a bright future. He was seen at the Ugly Tuna Saloon, a popular bar in the bustling University District. It was a typical Friday night, yet it would become anything but ordinary. The bar was alive with chatter and music. But what unfolded next is what makes this case unforgettable. Earlier in the day, Brian had dinner with his father, Randy Shaffer. They shared a meal at a steakhouse, discussing life and Brian's plans. Randy noticed his son seemed tired, perhaps from the stress of exams or the recent passing of his mother. But Brian reassured him that he was fine. Randy couldn't have known that this dinner would be the last time he would see his son. As the night progressed, Brian met up with his friend Clint Florence and Clint's friend Meredith Reed. They visited several bars before ending up at the Ugly Tuna Saloon. They were out to enjoy a night of bar hopping, a common pastime for students. Little did they know, this ordinary night would take a turn for the inexplicable. Security cameras captured Brian entering the Ugly Tuna Saloon around 1:15 a.m. on April 1st. He was seen chatting with two women near the escalator and seemingly enjoying himself. Then at 1:55 a.m., the camera caught him moving toward the exit, but never again. No footage shows Brian leaving the bar, a baffling twist in this mysterious case. After Brian's disappearance, the investigation intensified. Police combed through hours of CCTV footage from the Ugly Tuna and surrounding areas. But Brian was nowhere to be found. The cameras captured every exit, yet none showed him leaving. Was it possible for someone to vanish into thin air? The search for Brian expanded beyond the bar. Friends, family, and volunteers scoured the city. Flyers were plastered everywhere, featuring Brian's smiling face. The media picked up the story, painting Columbus with his image. Yet, as days turned into weeks, hope began to wane. Where was Brian Shaffer? Brian's friends and family were devastated. His father, Randy, led the charge, pleading for information. His girlfriend, Alexis, was heartbroken. They had planned a trip to Miami in the following days. Alexis called his phone every night before bed, hoping against hope that he would answer. But there was only silence. Theories about Brian's disappearance abound. One suggests he slipped out unnoticed and met with foul play. Another posits he chose to disappear, starting a new life somewhere far away. But questions linger. Why would he vanish on the cusp of a promising medical career, and without a word to those he loved? Some suggest Brian's disappearance might be linked to tragic events in his life. His mother had passed away from cancer just weeks before. Could grief have driven him to seek solace in anonymity? Or is this merely a coincidence, unrelated to his vanishing? The possibilities are endless, yet none provide closure. The police investigated every lead but found no evidence of foul play. They interviewed friends, family, and bar patrons. Yet no one had seen Brian after 2 a.m. The lack of evidence was as puzzling as the disappearance itself. It was as if Brian had stepped into another realm, one beyond human understanding. One eerie detail that haunts this case is the recurring calls to Brian's cell phone. In the days following his disappearance, his phone rang several times, but each call went to voicemail. Could this be a glitch, or was Brian somehow alive and unable to answer? The mystery only deepened. In 2008, tragedy struck again when Randy Shaffer died in a freak accident, leaving Alexis and the rest of Brian's family to continue the search. A memorial was held for Brian, yet no one could shake the feeling of unfinished business. Without concrete answers, closure remained elusive for all involved. Over the years, supposed sightings of Brian have been reported from various states, even abroad. Each tip is investigated, but none have led to him. Could Brian be leading a new life somewhere, or are these sightings mere coincidences, fueled by the desperation of those who wish to find him? Despite the dead ends, some hold on to hope. The case remains open, with investigators urging anyone with information to come forward. Brian's legacy is one of love, promise, and an unsolved mystery that continues to captivate the public's imagination. What happened to Brian Shaffer? More than a decade has passed, but the questions remain as fresh as they were in 2006. Could new technology or a chance discovery finally unveil the truth? For now, we are left with questions, theories, and the haunting image of a young man who seemed to vanish into thin air. Brian Shaffer's story is one of enduring mystery, a case that continues to baffle, intrigue, and sadden. It serves as a reminder of how fragile life is and how quickly everything can change. Wherever Brian is, his impact endures, leaving behind a trail of questions that might never be answered.